Breaking news, a large police investigation in a Raleigh neighborhood. What police have told us in the past few minutes.
We're in for big heat this week, and there's still no end to the drought in sight. I'm looking ahead to record heat and our next chance to finally see rain.
And funding for Medicaid in North Carolina could run out by next month. So what does that mean for the millions in our state who rely on it? WRAL spoke with the Director of Health and Human Services and asked him what happens if lawmakers can't pass a budget in time. It is Monday night. Let's get started here at 7 o'clock. New tonight, we got April temps in the 90s, police swarming a Raleigh neighborhood, AI impacting the future for college graduates, and oh yeah, Medicaid could run out by next month in North Carolina. A really busy start to the week here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dan Haggerty. Here at 7 o'clock, as you know, we want you to weigh in on the stories that we do and so much more. Send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. It is your questions, your comments, your feedback and critiques, your ideas that help to drive this newscast. First up tonight, we have to talk about this weather because it's feeling like summer this week. Kat Campbell, we have record-breaking temperatures in the 90s slated.
Yes, and not just one day where we hit 90 degrees in April. We have 4 in a row, mid-90s by the end of the week. The first 90-degree day of the year is Wednesday, 91 for both Raleigh and Durham, 90 degrees in Rocky Mount, and 92 in Fayetteville. Is this normal? Well, it's not a record. The earliest we've ever hit 90 in the year is March 12th. That was back in 1990. But on average, our first 90-degree day of the year is about a month from now, mid-May. So we are certainly running above and early for temperatures. 91 comes close to the record high of 92 tomorrow in Raleigh and in Fayetteville. Not quite to that record high of 95. I want to remind you, with the hot weather, there is a statewide burn ban. The hot weather and the dry weather together are likely to make the drought worse, and I'll have more on that coming up.
Thank you, Kat, because those 90-degree temperatures are doing nothing to help us with this statewide drought. We're experiencing the driest year on record thus far in Raleigh. 77% of the state is in a severe drought right now. 17% is even worse. They're in what they consider extreme drought. WRAL's Megan Cloherty went out to speak to a farmer who says the next few weeks will make or break his crops this year.
Jackie Thompson Sr. started helping his dad on this farm in 1957. He still grows tobacco, wheat, and soybeans.
There's no moisture, zero.
Nothing.
Zero moisture.
But this powdery soil isn't going to get it done.
We're toying with a situation I haven't seen since about 1977.
Thompson's preparing for 90-degree temperatures to pull whatever moisture is left from this field where he'll plant tobacco. His pond is so low, he'll only have enough water to save his wheat or irrigate this field.
It's a really concerning time right now.
Are you sending up prayers?
All day, every day, honey. Every day. Every day. A farmer doesn't pray, he don't need to be farming.
According to the National Integrated Drought Information System, North Carolina did not get more than an inch in the roughly 3 inches of precipitation it normally sees in February. Nor did it get nearly 3 inches it usually does in January.
So a drought not only affects how much water a farmer has, but the quality of that water, which matters to Thompson, because if you don't have enough water, it can change the rate of carbon and nutrients in the soil, as well as create insect outbreaks.
Thompson tries to control what he can by starting his tobacco in this 300-foot greenhouse.
That little bud right there will produce 22 leaves. And it'll be about 39 to 42 inches tall. That's how tall it'll be. This is the moneymaker in North Carolina. There are other moneymakers, but in the area we live in, this is what we depend on.
It's his livelihood that is entirely dependent on rain. In Wake Forest, Megan Cloherty, WRAL News.
Brian Schrader here in the WRAL Live Center. We're trying to figure out what's going on with a large police investigation happening right now in a Raleigh neighborhood. This is a new picture from the WRAL breaking news tracker of that scene on Thelma Street. You can see a lot of activity out there. I want to show you some Sky 5 video from earlier. This was shot around 6 o'clock this evening on Thelma Drive, not too far from Newbern Avenue and Beacon Lake Drive. According to Broadcastify radio traffic, this appears to be a shooting investigation. Working to find out more about it. We do know it's an active scene. We'll have updates on WRAL.com and then, of course, tonight on WRAL News at 10 and 11.
A jail supervisor is accused of raping an inmate. This is according to some indictment documents obtained by WRAL Investigates. It shows 9 charges against Captain Shannon Hawley. Hawley previously identified himself as a co-administrator in the Vance County Jail. Sheriff Curtis Brame tells WRAL Investigates that he reported Hawley to the State Bureau of Investigation. Hawley has resigned, and his first court appearance is scheduled for tomorrow. 2 Durham firefighters were hurt in a house fire. This happening around 2 this afternoon on Timberview Drive. Firefighters say solar panels on that home made it harder to put the flames out. The family says it was their family dog who alerted them to the fire. They all managed to get out safely. Firefighters are still investigating what caused this fire to start. A man accused of breaking into his girlfriend's home and, if you can believe it, setting her on fire is in custody. This is 29-year-old Frankie Faircloth. He was arrested in Sampson County today, facing multiple charges, including arson, attempted murder, and burglary. The woman is being treated for her injuries at a trauma center. The Fort Bragg Army veteran charged with sharing classified details will be on house arrest while awaiting trial. Courtney Williams' condition for release include no contact with the media, no contact with social media. Federal prosecutors say Williams shared info about a special command with a journalist who then published that information. And right now, people in Wendell are sharing their thoughts on data centers. There's a public hearing happening now during the commissioner's regular board meeting tonight. There aren't any current proposals for any of these AI data centers in the town, but the Board of Commissioners wants some time to study how data centers could impact local infrastructure and possibly to update development rules. Well, here we are. Graduation is less than a month away, but for some college students, the future is already shifting beneath their feet. They say artificial intelligence isn't just changing the job market, it's changing what they study, how long they even stay in school, and what comes next after graduation. WRAL State Government reporter Caroline Yaffa shares why students are rethinking their futures before they even graduate and how state leaders are preparing for what's ahead.
They're supposed to be counting down the days until graduation, but instead, some students at North Carolina State University say they're facing uncertainty. Just weeks before they leave campus, I'm told by some students, artificial intelligence is already reshaping the futures they thought were set.
It does concern me a little bit. I'm very, very worried.
A new national survey helps explain why. It finds 47% of college students have considered changing their major because of artificial intelligence, and 16% already have.
The original plan was to graduate early, but it's something like, what's the point of graduating early if I can't find a job? So it's definitely going to be worth it, hopefully, to be able to gain these skills at the end. It's a financial burden, but it has to be done.
In 2026 alone, data shows that 45,000 people were laid off who have tech jobs. Workforce leaders say this is about entry-level work being reshaped as AI changes tasks inside jobs.
The business case for an entry-level role is shifting, right? And entry-level roles traditionally have been where folks build experience through a lot of that routine work that is now getting automated or augmented.
That shift is also reaching state government. The Department of State Treasurer says its AI pilot program showed up to a 10% productivity increase, and the technology is now being expanded across divisions. For students, officials have a few pieces of advice. Get into the workplace quickly, adapt fast, and build skills. Caroline Yaffa, WRAL News, Raleigh.
At 7 o'clock, the Aer Lingus flight has landed at RDU Sky 5, capturing the moment it happened. This is the first nonstop flight from Dublin, Ireland to RDU, and will fly there 5 times a week. Welcome home. Coming up, the fight to save Medicaid. The head of North Carolina's Department of Health and Human Services says Medicaid could run out. Next, how soon they expect it and how they're hoping to help millions across our state before it's too late.
And not only will this pattern heat things up for us this week, it'll keep us dry as well. And I'll explain why coming up.
But before we head to break, we want to take a look at some of the news stories we're keeping an eye on for you this week. Wednesday, of course, is tax day. Isn't that fun? Gotten them knocked out at the beginning of the year. Others may have waited a few weeks or days before. You know who you are. Then the Wilson Warbirds, their home opener is tomorrow night at home. They will play the Hill City Howlers. The tickets for that game are sold out. The Warbirds moved to Wilson after the Carolina Mudcats left Zebulon. Also, the NHL playoffs. Those are on Saturday and tonight. The Canes could clinch the #1 seed in the East if they win against the Flyers. We're going to be back after this. Funding for Medicaid in North Carolina could run out by next month. I know a lot of you hear that and say, tell me more. That could be a problem. Well, it's according to the State Department of Health and Human Services that more than 3 million North Carolinians depend on that service, on that Medicaid. Not only could the program run out of money, there is a funding gap, a huge one to the tune of $300 million. And it's all because state lawmakers still have not agreed on a new budget. WRAL's Ashley Rose spoke to the DHHS director about all of this, and she asked him, does he think the legislature will come through in the end? Here's that part of their conversation.
One of the months that I have heard is May, floating around as to when Medicaid kind of runs out of money. Is that still a reality, or is that a bit of a loose date? Are we able to work beyond that?
One of the things we do in the Medicaid program is every month we look at what has occurred in all the periods prior, kind of forecast what's going to happen in the future. And so every month we try to anticipate when we're going to, if you will, run out of money. And so for a while now we've been talking about that May timeline, and it still is May. So right now we're pretty well appropriated through the end of this month, but then starting next month we'll need to make sure that we have the money to be able to pay our bills.
That is coming very quickly.
It is.
How do you prepare for that?
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier. We've been having really good dialogue with members of the General Assembly. We have really good alignment on the number, and what I've been really happy about is that everyone understands the urgency of what we have. So we're hopeful that when the General Assembly gets back into session later this month, that one of their top priorities is to fund the $319 million.
Do you have confidence that they will get this done, that you will be able to continue to fund Medicaid?
I am incredibly optimistic. I go back to what I said earlier. This is something that everyone has rallied around as a point of urgency now that we have a common understanding around how much money we need, because there was some difference and debate earlier in the year. I'm incredibly optimistic that we're going to be able to close the gap by the end of this month.
I imagine, though, you still have to prepare for contingencies. So what is the contingency here?
One of the real risks is we won't be able to pay our bills. And so it's one of the things we don't want to have to think about is what happens if you're not able to get that $319 million. And again, it goes back to everyone appreciating the urgency of that.
What does happen if you can't pay your bills?
Well, providers have a risk of potentially not getting paid. And then, what happens if a provider can't get paid when you're providing services? There's a real risk to access in the Medicaid program for the 3.1 million people who need it.
Could that lead to lawsuits?
Well, you've seen what's already happened. Yeah.
Does that keep you up at night, or is that something that you just say it'll get dealt with?
What really keeps me up at night is the fact that there are 1 out of 4 of the 11 million people who live in the state of North Carolina that need the Medicaid program. And when you think about the beneficiaries, these are pregnant women, elderly, veterans, families, and others. What keeps me up is the worry that people are not getting the essential health care that they need.
Are you already having conversations with providers? Are providers reaching out to you saying, what are we going to do here? We are barreling towards this. In order for me to continue serving these Medicaid patients, I need to have assurances that I'm going to get paid on the other side of it. What are those conversations like?
The conversations have been equally collaborative. The provider community has been with us lockstep as we've gone through some of these challenges over the last 6 to 8 months. They, too, understand the importance of making sure that we get these dollars appropriated as soon as possible. They, too, are talking to lawmakers and other stakeholders to stress the importance of getting the money appropriated even as early as the end of this month when they get back into session.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you can find Ashley's full interview with Dr. Sangvir on the WRAL YouTube page. She asked him about how DHHS deals with fraud and about whether or not they could have done something different to avoid the Medicaid funding lapse that we're seeing. Again, you can find that on the WRAL YouTube page. In the meantime, let us know if you have any questions about this. I know, again, it's a big stressor for a lot of families at home. So send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What about the budget? What more do you want to know about that and how it might affect you and your household? Tell us what's on your mind, and we'll talk about it here at 7 o'clock. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us as, again, we have this potential for record heat in the mid-90s here in April.
And we're talking 4 days in a row with highs in the 90s. 88 our forecast high tomorrow. So we're not quite to 90, but it may feel like it. You know, it's hard to tell the difference between 88 and 90 when you step outside. The record tomorrow is 91. Wednesday, we forecast to tie the record. And then as we get into Thursday and Friday, we'll come close to records. Saturday as well, 94 is our forecast high on Saturday. The record high is 95 degrees. Now, when we look at April as a whole, it's not entirely uncommon to see a day in the 90s, but to see 4 is rare. That's actually the record for the most 90-degree days in April. That happened in 1960 and 1967. Hasn't happened since, but we are forecasting 4. And of course, we are not all the way through April just yet. Live look in Durham at the DPAP, the Durham Bulls Athletic Park. You can see the sun shining bright. Don't forget the Bulls are in town this week. It is going to be a hot week, but it is dry this week. So try to get out to one of the Bulls games. It should be a great time. 77 tomorrow. It's an early game tomorrow. By Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it'll be a little hotter with those 6:45 p.m. first pitches. Saturday, 88 degrees. It'll be a great game if you're headed there this weekend. Just make sure you've got a lot of water and sunscreen. And then Sunday, we do actually have a chance for rain Sunday. It's only a 30% chance, and it does not look like very much rain. We're talking maybe 1/10 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch of rain at most. Looked over all the data, though, and it doesn't look promising for rain. That means the burn ban will continue until further notice through this week. It'll probably be through next week, and I would not be surprised if it was through the end of April, because we still need anywhere from 7 to 11 inches of rain to end the severe and the extreme drought across our area. We are in a severe drought in Wake County right now. It is not out of the question that when the drought monitor is updated Thursday, that we could be added to the extreme drought, or at least see that grow in part of our viewing area. Overall, it is not only hot this week, but dry, and that's why the drought is expected to get worse. We only have that 30% chance for rain Sunday, and then a bit of a cool down next week. I am looking forward to those 70s by next Monday, Dan.
It'll feel good. Thank you, Kat. The growing sport of cricket. Yes, it's expanding here in the Triangle and in one town in particular. Where it's happening, how, and the sport's future coming up in tonight's One Last Thing. One last thing for you tonight. The town leaders in Mooresville are thinking big. They want to be the hub for one of the fastest growing sports in America, cricket. And it is true. Cricket is exploding across the United States. According to USA Cricket, there are more than 400 cricket leagues in the United States with more than 200,000 players. And we have a lot of that action happening right here in our area. Mooresville has the Triangle Cricket League, Core Cricket and Cricket Drive. Those are youth programs in the Raleigh area working with kids to get better and to learn the sport. Wake County schools, they might not have cricket teams, but Davis Drive Middle School does have a cricket club. Mooresville is now home to a minor league cricket team, the Mooresville Raptors. All of this is why Mooresville is spending big money to upgrade their cricket facility at Church Street Park. They got a $2 million grant to help fund this. More fields, better lighting, better drainage. Work is underway now, and it's expected to be finished by next summer.
Mooresville is known in the cricket world as a world-class venue location for cricket. There are not a lot of cricket fields that are built to this level of play, this world-class standard across the United States. There are a few, but Mooresville is one of those few. And so we have a lot of interest in using our fields and our amenities.
This isn't just to bring professional or international teams to town, even though we see that. It's kind of for everyone, right? Families who already know the rules and want to enjoy it, or first-timers, people who just want to learn and see something new.
We've got people asking about the field space all the time. And then just seeing those people come, the locals, pulling in their families to come and visit the games. It's a hot sport, that's for sure.
Just to see these kids running around this field, and even when it's not a tournament, on any given day, you can go out to Church Street Park and you'll see a parent with a child throwing around a ball and a bat, and maybe a volunteer leader with 3 or 4 kids kind of teaching them the game because it's open for that.
The minor league cricket season starts up a little later this year, and don't forget, cricket is going to be an Olympic sport in 2028. We did an in-depth segment on cricket not too long ago. We talked about why it's getting so much more popular here in the U.S., how it's the second most valuable sport in the world, not far behind the NFL. That's all over on the WRAL YouTube page. Now, I do want to get to a little bit of feedback. We got a couple of emails tonight. One was about the drought. This came in from Susie, and she said, with North Carolina in such severe drought, why is there no talk about conserving water? And it's a really relevant question right now, considering where things are. I was talking to Kat Campbell about it, and I'll tell you 2 things. One, our lakes, they're low, but they're still in a comfortable place right now. So that's why initially you're not seeing many of those types of programs being put into place. And second, we are doing stories on this right now. So I know the discussion is kind of on that fringe where whether or not we might have to do that type of conservation. We're working on that for you. If you have questions about it, please let us know, because when we have extreme drought like this, it's rare that we would have to conserve water in such a way here in North Carolina, but it wouldn't be unprecedented. We've had to do it before. So please email us 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Keep those emails coming in. We'll continue to answer your questions right here at 7 o'clock. This is, again, your newscast. Thank you for watching here at 7.